Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here today. I have a video that I'm so excited and also very terrified for. I am going to tier rank all of the books I read last year in 2025, all the 142 books I read in 2025. So without any further ado, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get started. So first of all, let's look at the tiers because I think they're pretty self-explanatory. The first one is Obsessed, for books that I love, that I was obsessed with last year. Almost Perfect are books that were maybe like 3.5 to 4.5 stars, let's say, books that were almost there but not quite. Fine, I guess, for books that were okay. They were kind of mid. They were not bad but not really, really good either. Not for me, for books that I think were okay, but they were just not for me. They were not my favorites, let's say. I Forgot That You Existed, for books that I forgot that I read, and this unfortunately happens quite often. And then the last category from the bottom is Would Return It If I Could, for books that were atrocious and I kind of regret spending my money on them. I made this category with a specific book in mind, Unhinged, but let's see if other books will be here as well. So let's start with the first book, and that is Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This was, I think it was almost perfect because it did set up the story quite nicely, in my opinion. Clockwork Princess, in retrospect, like I really, really liked this book when I read it, but in retrospect, I think it would be fine, I guess. Hello from the future. So slight correction. What I wanted to do is to put Clockwork Princess, which is the finale of this series, in Almost Perfect, and then Clockwork Prince in Fine, I guess, but I got them mixed up in my head. Just wanted to let you know how I feel about that. Okay, back to the video. The next one is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. The Raven Boys, the first book, I think it was almost perfect. I really liked the setup of this series. The problem was the other books in this series. I just don't think they were that good in terms of plot. The first one was really strong, and then it kind of fizzled out the more we continued with these characters, I believe. But yeah, as a series as a whole, I think it was fine. So because of that, The Dream Thieves, I want to say it was fine, I guess. And then The Raven King, also fine, I guess. Blue Lily, Lily Blue, fine, I guess. I'm so sorry. Please don't be mad at me. Then the Bane Chronicles. Ooh, okay. The Bane Chronicles is like a short story kind of collection centering Magnus Bane. And it was fine, but I wouldn't say it's more than that. Like, it's cool to see this character and these characters because we follow multiple characters in this book, in this short story collection, whatever. But it's like something nice to have. It's not something mandatory, I would say, from the Shadowhunters universe. The Fall of the House of Usher. I just think that I expected something more. And even though this book, or this short story, I should say, is very well written, I just wanted something more from it. So because of that, I think it would be fit in Not For Me. Moving along with White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Again, not for me. The story was written well. I just think it doesn't really convey the things that I think a lot of people saw in this book, for me personally. I could appreciate it for what it represents for other people, but it's just not my thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Call Me By Your Name by Andrei Asiman. I think that this one is almost perfect. Even though I did know the plot of this one because I saw the movie, there are some differences between the two, but I just get transported back to when I saw the movie a lot of times when it got released. So, Call Me By Your Name, almost perfect. Opal from Maggie Stiefvater. This was kind of boring, not gonna lie. This was boring. It's like a short story from the world of the Raven Boys. But yeah, I don't know if it was necessary. And honestly, I think it's almost I forgot it existed because I do remember reading it, but I never think about this book. So I guess I forgot it existed. Sorry, Opal. Well, not really. Next up, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. I wanna say this was not for me. Again, very well written. Plot wise, it was a lot, and I think it got derailed towards the end of the book. But if you are interested in this book, I would suggest you read it and see it for yourself if you like it or not, because I think this is just not really my taste, but I think it is a very well written book, if that makes sense. Then The Tailor of Gloucester. I want to put it in I forgot it existed because even though I did read it for Christmas, so quite recently, as of the filming of this video, I just don't see this story being something that meaningful to me. Unfortunately, it's cutesy, it's fun. If you choose to buy this book or to read this story for a kid, I think it's a great one. But for me as an adult, having no nostalgia for this book because I never read it until now, I just don't see it as that impactful, let's say. House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This is a tough one. I guess I should put it in fine. I guess this has like really beautiful elements. We have these sisters and they are getting murdered. There's this curse on their family or whatever. And I really liked the atmosphere. It's very dark, very gloomy, but it's just also very YA. And I wished more from this, but in the same time, is it fair because it's still like a YA book? Like, is it fair for me to have those expectations from this book? I don't know. If you tend to like YA, I think this is a great book for that. Me personally, I just think I'm kind of out of that genre, if you will, even though I did still read quite a lot of YA and I still am reading quite a lot of YA books. So, yeah, House of Salt and Sorrows was fine, I guess. Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights. You know what? I have to live my truth. This was kind of disappointing. I expected more from this. And again, writing style on point, amazing. Would expect nothing else from a Bronte, but it didn't really do that much for me. And I don't know why, because I expected so many things from this book. And I think that also kind of hindered my experience with this one because I know it's the favorite of a lot of people and I know it's very popular and a lot of people are like absolutely obsessed with it. But not not my thing. Revenge by Yoko Ogawa. This was almost perfect. This is a short story collection that centers the themes of revenge, and all of these short stories are so interesting. And for a story that's like 10, 15, maybe 20 pages, I think that this author achieved a lot in this book, and I liked it a lot. It's one of those books that's so weird, but like in a good way. I loved it. It was almost there, and I think that if one of the short stories would be kind of like extrapolated to a whole novel, I would be obsessed with that one. But as it stands right now, Revenge is almost perfect. And then another book by Yoko Ogawa called The Memory Police. This was, oh, I'm somewhat in between not for me and fine, I guess, but I'm leaning more towards not for me. The plot of this one is so interesting. We are on this island and we have all of these characters who keep forgetting that things exist. Like it starts with a ribbon or a perfume or whatever, and then all of a sudden they miss arms, they miss legs, and they just can't remember what they lost. And as a premise, I think it's super interesting, but the ending and certain choices that our character makes along the way, they're just kind of bizarre and they kind of took me out of the story. I think it's a great exercise in imagination, and I think it's one of the most interesting dystopian books that I read. I typically don't read like a lot of dystopian nowadays, but I just read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Achman this month in January, and I think that one is stronger than this one. Not to compare them because they don't have anything in common other than the subgenre of them being dystopian literature. But yeah, what am I saying? I don't know. Whatever. Moving on to A Court of Thorns and Roses by Miss Maas. A Court of Thorns and Roses. I mean, this first book, actually, you know what? This first book was fine. There are certain elements that are very YA again, and this started as a YA series, so I think it kind of checks out. But the story kind of takes a turn after the first book, and that's the story that I was really invested in. So A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first one was kind of there. Then A Court of Mist and Fury, I think this is potentially my favorite one from the series. Not obsessed with it by any means, but still. Wings and Ruin, fine I guess. Fine I guess. A Court of Frost and Starlight, jail. Would not recommend. This was a waste of my time and I was so pissed with this book. It's just like the characters giving each other presents for winter solstice. I don't want to see that. I'm sorry. It's just not what I want to do with my time. And then the last book in the series as of right now, Court of Silver Flames. A Court of Silver Flames. Is it better than the first book? Yes. And because of that, I think I have to move the first one in Not For Me, just because I think Wings and Ruin and Silver Flames are not on the same level with the first one. I don't make the rules. Well, I kind of am in this video, but you get the gist. Anyway, so the next one, Cassandra Clare's Chain of Gold. So this is the first one in the Lost Hours series. God, I have such a soft spot for all of the Shadowhunters books. Chain of Gold. Chain of Gold. Chain of Gold. And also Chain of Iron. Like, I can't differentiate between these books just because they're kind of like all a melange in my head, and I read them back to back, or I read this series back to back at least. So I just want to put them all as a whole in the almost perfect category because they are up there for me personally. Next up, They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Fine, I guess. I did cry a lot while reading this book. This just makes me feel like I'm reading all over again John Green from the early 2010s. It was really, really good when I read it, but now in retrospect, am I obsessed with this book? Am I thinking about this book constantly? Not really. So because of that, I think it deserves a fine, I guess, placement. Next up, oh my god, A Curious Beginning by Diana Raybourn. I mean, I do have to continue reading this series because the first one was almost perfect. And I'm really excited to see where the story and the plot goes with our main character because this first book is absolutely bonkers and I had the time of my life reading it. So, yeah, I guess I have to continue reading the series in 2026. Another one of my favorite authors, Holly Black, with Book of Night. I think, you know what? I think it's almost perfect because even though the first book doesn't really expend a lot in terms of like magic system and world building and stuff like that, it all comes together in the second one, and the things that are omitted from the first one are kind of like omitted on purpose. So, because of that, I do think the duology altogether is almost perfect. Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. Now, the thing is, the Dark Artifices series is not my favorite from the Shadowhunters universe. And because of that, I have to put it in Finite Guess together with Lord of Shadows and Queen of Air and Darkness, the Song of Achilles. Now, the thing is that everyone hyped this book so much, and I postponed reading it just because I had this feeling that I will really, really like it once I read it. And now I read it, and I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I want to put it in not for me because it is well written, yes, but also the plot and the characters didn't really do it for me. I think the main character is kind of whiny and annoying, and I didn't get his motivations in this book at all. It didn't resonate with me at all. So, because of that, I have to put it in not for me. I almost wanted to put it in I forgot that you existed, but I don't know. I think we're gonna leave it as not for me for the moment, and we're gonna see eventually if I wanna change something or not. Okay. All the Lovers in the Night by Mieko Kawakami. I wanna put it in I forget that you existed because I don't ever think about this book. Like I read it and it was kind of there, but not really. It was very slow paced, and I think it tried to say something that other books have said in the past, but not as good as those other books. So, because of that, I forgot that you existed. Not to say that this is a bad book, because it is not. It's just not something that I think about often, let's say. The Paris Apartment, again, I forgot that you existed. Once I read it, I could see it kind of like as a movie in my head, but again, I'm not ever thinking about this book. So, because of that, I forgot that you existed. Shady Hollow, which is kind of like a cozy murder mystery type of a thing, it's fine. It was fine. It was cute, it was fast paced, it was short, it did what it needed to do. Shady Hollow. Next up, Boulder by Eva Baltasar. Almost perfect. I really, really liked the triptych trilogy as a whole, which this book is like a part of. They don't have anything in common other than maybe certain themes that the characters are exploring in these books, but Boulder, Mammoth, and the other one that I can't remember right now from the Triptych trilogy from Eva Baltasar, I think are really, really good. They're also very short, and the writing style is so strong because Eva Baltasar is also a poet. I think her language like really, really shines. The Atlas Paradox. You know, I really like Olivia Blake, but I'm gonna put it in Finite Guess just because I know that the last book from this trilogy, it was just not my thing at all, and that's going to be lower, but this one was still okay. I keep changing my thoughts and opinions about this series. Like sometimes I tend more to like it than other times, but for the moment, I would just say it's fine. The second book in the Atlas Six series by Olivia Blake. Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart. Again, not really for me. I know that this is the favorite of a lot of people. I am unfortunately not one of those. And then Wolf Song by TJ Klune. Again, not for me. I think there's a lot of character depth in this book, but also it's just so convoluted and it gets to a point where the plot is really confusing, and also the main character starts to become like really annoying after a while. So I just this was not really my favorite from TJ Klune, and that really hurts to say because The House on the Cerulean Sea and the sequel to that I really, really liked from this author. So I think that this series as a whole is just not really my thing, and I don't think I will be continuing with this series because I didn't read the other three books, I think, in this series. Yeah. And then The Six Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow. This is our first Obsessed. This is a novella. It has like 30 or 32 pages. It is available on KU and it is absolutely amazing. If you're looking for something quick but also for something with a lot of substance, I think this book would be just that. So this is The Six Deaths of the Saint by Alexi Harrow. Then Medusa's Sisters by Lauren J.A. Baer. This book was really good. Like I really remember reading this one and enjoying it and like thinking about it afterwards, which is something that doesn't really happen quite often with a lot of books for me. So I really, really liked this one. I really liked the journey of Medusa from going to this like just girl, I guess, to the mythical creature that we all know. And I think it was very well done. So this is Medusa's Sisters, almost perfect. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Would return it if I could, and I actually unhauled this book because I was so mad after reading it. I don't care what other people say. This one for me was just a lot of ideas kind of like put together on the page, but without the payoff. And it might just be the fact that I didn't get this book or I didn't understand it, but I just don't think it's worth the hype. I'm sorry. I was just so mad after reading this book. Yeah. Wouldn't recommend at all The Starless Sea. King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Is this the first one? I think this is the first one in the... Oh yeah, because it's called the King of Scars duology. Okay, it makes sense. So this follows one of my favorite characters, I would say, from the Grishaverse. Well, probably that's an overstatement, but the duology as a whole, I mean, I think I should put it in fine, I guess. I enjoyed it at the time, but it's just not that strong in my opinion. Like from the whole Grishaverse, kind of like universe, I do think that Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are definitely the strongest ones. So the original trilogy is like at the bottom for me, followed by King of Scars and Rule of Wolves. I think it's the other one. And then at the top would be Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. In these Hollowed Holes, which is a dark academia anthology of short stories, the thing is that this was really disappointing. Like it had works from Olivia Blake and ML Rio, and I just expected more from this book, but all of the stories, they just seemed like they were lacking substance and they were not that well developed, I guess. So yeah, not my favorite to say the least. Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre I really liked. Jane Eyre. I think it is almost perfect. Next up, Greta and Walden. Actually, I forgot it existed. Like, it wasn't bad. I just don't ever think about this book, and because of that, I just think it deserves its spot in this category. House of Roots and Ruin, which is the sequel to House of Salt and Sorrows. I liked this one better than the first one. I really liked our main character, which is one of the sisters from the first book. I liked the plot a lot. Also the setting. We are in this kind of like mansion that's almost a castle, and you have all of these horror elements that are coming from nature. It was really good. It was really good. Still YA, but it was very well done in my opinion. Next up, I can't see. Chain of Thorns. Okay, Chain of Thorns. Where do I put Chain of Thorns other than in almost perfect? So Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, and Chain of Thorns. I love this series so much. Nettle and Bone by one of my favorite authors right now, T. Kingfisher. Um, Thinking about this book compared to the other T. Kingfisher books I read, you know what? I really like this one, Nettle and Bone. It's funny, it's quirky, it is one of those like cozy fantasy books, but I think that every book by T. Kingfisher is so unique. She always turns the tropes on their head, and yeah, I love this book, Nettle and Bone. Next up, we have the Fourth Wing series. If I could find the third one, that would be great, but I can't see, obviously. So, okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, the Fourth Wing series. Here's the thing. The first one was really good. Like, it was one of those books that I was like, should I read it or should I not read it? Just because a lot of people like it, and it's kind of like one of my toxic traits, I guess. I just tend to not be drawn to read very popular books. I just don't know why. So I was skeptical, but it's safe to say that it kind of took me by surprise. Like, the things that are happening in this book are so on the nose, yes, but it just makes you want to read more and to continue reading, to binge read it, if you will. Then the sequel, Iron Flame, it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough, and I think it's safe to say that this is not the favorite from this series for a lot of people. And then Onyx Storm. Is it as good as the first one? No, it is not. Is it as bad as the second one? No, it's not. So because of that, it's fine. I guess I definitely like I remember my heart was pounding when I read this book just because I was so curious to see what's going to happen next. And that ending, actually, you know what? That ending, like, it deserves to be almost perfect for that ending alone. Do you remember how delusional we all were when this book wasn't released yet, and we were all kind of like coming with theories about Violet's second signet and stuff like that? It was crazy boots. Crazy boots. Okay, The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. This is not for me. I think I said this about all of the books in this category. They are all so well written. It's just that the subject matter of the book is not necessarily for me. Tom Lake by Anne Patchett. Honestly, I would return this if I could, and I did unhold this one as well just because it was boring. Like, I didn't care. I also listened to the audiobook. Like I kept switching between the audiobook and the physical version of this book. And even though it is narrated by Meryl Streep and I loved that, the book itself, not my taste, and I just didn't care for it, is what I'm trying to say. Unhinged by Vera Valentine, jail. Absolute jail. And then All Fours by Miranda July. You know where this is going. You know where this is going, and my trackpad doesn't want to cooperate. This is going straight into Obsessed. This was my first Miranda July. It was amazing, and I don't have any notes. Like, it was so raw and vulnerable and so well written, and our main character was nuts, and I absolutely loved her. So All Fours by Miranda July, really good. Next up, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I would say it was fine. Like, it was fine. The world building was very interesting. Also, the characters and what they went through and stuff like that is kind of like a Freaky Friday situation almost. So, yeah, this was good. Don't Let the Forest In by CJ Drews. This one goes straight into Almost Perfect. I just love this book a lot. And also, if I can find the other book by CJ Drews that I read in 2025, which is Hazelthorn, which is right here. That book also goes straight into Almost Perfect. Next up, The Night Ends with Fire by KX Sung. Fine, I guess. This is a Hua Mulan retelling, and because of that, like, I didn't know what to expect from this book. I think it did bring some interesting changes to the original story of Hua Mulan, and also The Dragon Wakes with Thunder, which is the sequel to this one. They were okay. They were okay. Not my favorites, but also, like, I did think a lot about these books after I read them. So this is the, I forget the name of the duology. I'm horrible with names. Oh, here it is, Rule of Wolves, which is the sequel to, where is it? King of Scars, also fine. The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. It might just be like recency bias or something, but oh, is it Almost Perfect or is it Obsessed? You know what? Fine. Obsessed. Obsessed. I also read the sequel to this one in January this month, and that one was amazing as well. And I can't wait for the third installment of this book in the summer of this year, I want to say. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. This was almost perfect. This was almost perfect. It tackles a lot of themes of mental health, but it was done in such a nice way, and it's also so refreshing to see those themes in a book like this. So I'm so happy that Sangu Mandana was in a place to release this book. So yeah, this is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. The Priory. The Priory of the Orange Tree. Even though I did have some issues with the pacing and also with the final battle scene from this book, I'm obsessed. Like, I just am. I loved the world building, and more than that, I loved the characters. I think the story of the two main characters is so compelling and so well done, and I'm just like so happy that I was able to read the other two books in the Roots of Chaos series by Samantha Shannon. I really, really liked this one a lot. The Premonition by Banana Yoshimoto. I kind of forgot that I read this book. Oh, The Ministry of Time. jail. Would return it if I could. I sold my special edition of this book because I bought that one thinking that I will absolutely love it, and it was just not the case. Um, yeah, it was pretty rough. The Ministry of Time. I have a vlog on this channel with kind of like my reaction of reading this book, and it was just not it for me. A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which is the prequel of The Priory, was almost perfect. Yeah, I think it's almost perfect. I was thinking if I want to put it in obsessed, but I just don't think that I had the same visceral reaction with this book as I had with the first one. So because of that, it is almost perfect. And then where's the other one from this series? Among the Burning Flowers, which is the most recent release in the Roots of Chaos series, this was fine. I guess it's a very short book about Morosa Votilda, and if you read the first book, you kind of know who this character is, but it was just, I wanted more from this, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. Next up, a book on vampires. I think it's called A Handbook to Vampire Lore or something. I actually can't remember, and I don't think. Actually, you know what? You can see the full title. So it is Vampires, A History and Lore of the Undead by Agnes Hollyhock. This is so interesting because it goes through a lot of different cultures and explains who the vampire was in those cultures, what it was called, what was their specific traits and stuff like that. And I read this book because I went on a rabbit hole after reading a T. Kingfisher book that we'll get to in this video. Actually, this one, What Feasts at Night from T. Kingfisher. There was like a Strigoi mentioned, which is kind of like a vampire adjacent thing. It's not really a vampire, but I spiraled because I knew I heard this term before and I knew loosely what it was, but I couldn't pinpoint it. So I read then this book to kind of like clarify certain aspects on that. But this handbook on vampires, it was almost perfect, even though it didn't have like an extensive look at all of the cultures, obviously, because I think that's low-key impossible. It still provided a lot of valuable insight, I think, in my opinion. So this is almost perfect. And then speaking of vampires, What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher, I want to put it as well in almost perfect. This is the sequel to What Moves the Dead from T. Kingfisher as well. And I think that if I'm looking at these books in terms of like a series, I would say that the first one was my favorite, but this one is a close second to that. The Atlas Complex. I kind of blocked this out from my mind, and I kind of forgot that it existed because the ending of this series was not exactly my cup of tea. Unfortunately, it breaks me to say this because Olivia Blake is one of my favorites, but I just have to say that I didn't really enjoy this ending for the series, unfortunately. The Turnglass by Gareth Rubin. Honestly, I would return it if I could. This was just not great. The concept of this book was really interesting to me, and that's why I bought it. It's because the book is split in two. It's like a Ted Bush, and then you can start reading from either side to kind of get the full story of what happened, but it was just kind of boring, if I'm being honest. So yeah, The Turnglass. Lucy Undying. Lucy Undying. Is it almost perfect or is it obsessed? I think it is almost perfect. Lucy Undying, it's about vampires who are running an MLM company, and I'll just leave it at that. But this was really interesting and I had a lot of fun reading this book. So if that sounds like your thing, I would wholeheartedly recommend it. Lucy Undying. And then The Rainfall Market, I just kind of forgot about this book. It's one of those like cozy books or whatever. The concept was interesting at the time, but I just don't ever think about it. So I'll just leave it here. And I forgot it existed. Queer as Folklore by Sacha Coward is exploring the different ways in which queer identities, I guess, are depicted in folklore and in mythology in general. And it is one of my favorite reads of 2025. I absolutely love this book. And obviously, again, not all encompassing, not exploring all of the cultures or stuff like that. But the author was very transparent when it comes to this. And he said, either in the intro or in the acknowledgements, that this is like one view of these things. And obviously, you can't encompass everything in one book. So I really liked this one, and I would suggest you read it. It's one of the very few nonfiction books that I read in 2025, but I enjoyed it a lot. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. It was almost perfect. I know this is kind of like a hot take because I know a lot of people didn't like this book, but I loved it, and I can't wait for The Knave and the Moon, I think it's called, the sequel to this one. That's going to be releasing in 2026 as well. The Way of Kings by Mr. Brandon Sanderson. The Way of Kings. Here's the thing. Is it... You know what? It is almost perfect only because Words of Radiance, obsessed with this book. I am currently reading Oathbringer, which is the third installment of the Stormlight Archive series. And I think it's safe to say that thus far, Words of Radiance is my favorite from the Stormlight Archive. I do hope that this year I will be finishing with the Stormlight Archive series to kind of like have everything wrapped up, and I'll see if my opinions change after reading Oathbringer, Rhythm of War, and Wind and Truth. So that's that. I was really intimidated about these books just because they're massive. Like the first one is 1,100 whatever pages. Words of Radiance is 1,270, I think, and then Oathbringer is 1,300. So it's just like a lot of pages, but the payoff is really good at the end. So yeah, if you are intimidated, go ahead and read them because you will not regret it. Moving along to The Teller of Small Fortunes. Again, cozy fantasy, but I think this was done really well. It tackled some themes that I didn't really see that much in cozy fantasy until that point, and I really liked the main character a lot. I also liked the found family vibes between her and the other kind of like supporting cast of characters, if you will. And it was like a really cute story. I read this in a day when it was like raining outside like a lot, and it was the perfect read for a day like that. So I just like remember it very, very fondly because of that. When the Moon Hatched, another book I sold just because I couldn't look at it anymore. This was infuriating because the plot didn't really go anywhere, and the main characters, not for me. An Education in Malice, I kind of forgot that this book existed just because I read Carmilla afterwards, and Carmilla was just better in every way than An Education in Malice, and these books are very similar because An Education in Malice is obviously inspired by Carmilla. So I would just say that Carmilla is almost perfect now in retrospect, and I would suggest you only read Carmilla if you want to hear this story told better in less pages. And I think the story flows so much better in Carmilla than in An Education in Malice. Edgedancer by Brandon Sanderson. I think it's one of the very few Brandon Sanderson books that I they're not my favorite. Let's just say that. Probably because of the main character, Lift. I think she is a great supporting character, but I don't think a whole book about Lift was just my cup of tea. It was still Brandon Sanderson, like the plot and the narrative and stuff like that were really cool, but the way that Lift acts and talks is kind of infuriating after a while, which again makes sense because she's supposed to be like 12, 13, something like that. But yeah, this is definitely not my favorite Brandon Sanderson book. Moving along to a book that really left a mark on me. This is The River Has Roots by Amal Al-Mohtar, and I was obsessed with this book when I read it. I think it's really good. It's very well done. We are following these sisters who are basing their magic on grammar and singing, and it's a really cool idea. I just loved the plot a lot. I loved the book itself. It's illustrated beautifully, and I was obsessed with this book. Poems for Tortured Souls. I kind of forgot about this book. It's like a poetry collection inspired by Taylor Swift's eras, and even though some of the poems work for the respective eras that they're put in, I just don't think that it was anything that special, and it just seems kind of like a cash grab in my opinion. It's a cool idea for a gift or stuff like that, but it was just not something that I'm thinking about. Glyph by Alice Smith, not for me. Orbital, cool imagery of space, but nothing more than that. So I think I would return it if I could and just look at space pictures on like Google Images or something. I don't know. Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Not for me. Not for me. I actually don't really know why I read this book. I guess I was kind of intrigued by the whole kind of like BDSM stuff that was heavily marketed, but it was just not not that much BDSM in it, I guess. Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett as part of the Emily Wilde series. I think this is the second book in that series. So Map of the Otherlands. Map of the Otherlands. I do remember really liking these books in that moment. But now in retrospect, I think they were just fine. Is that right? Or are they almost perfect? Actually, you know what? Maybe the Map of the Otherlands is almost perfect, and then the Compendium of Lost Tales is just kind of fine, I guess. Sunrise on the Reaping, you already know, obsessed. I cried a lot with this book. I'm so happy we got to see Haymitch's point of view throughout his Hunger Games, and it's just heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. Cassandra Clare's The Rag Picker King. That ending. Cassie knows how to write a cliffhanger, man. I love this book and I can't wait for the third installment in this series, but I think that's gonna come in 2027, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This was a really nice surprise from V. Schwab. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and I would say it's almost perfect. We are following these toxic vampires kind of like through time, and they're doing like a lot of questionable things, but I really, really enjoyed how the story was told. I put it in almost perfect and not obsessed just because there's like a specific point of view in that book that I didn't really care for that much. But other than that, it was really, really good and I liked it a lot. Stag Dance by Tori Peters. Again, like an anthology of short stories, or more so like novellas, I guess, about gender identity and transitioning and stuff like that. And I just loved it when I read it. So I would say it is almost perfect. The title novella, like the novella that gives the title of the book, Stag Dance, surprisingly was not my favorite, but all of the other ones were really strong. Evenings and Weekends by Lizzie McKenna. Is it almost perfect or is it obsessed? I think it's almost perfect. Come on. Yeah, I think it's almost perfect. I think I read this one when I went to a coffee festival or something like that. I do have a reading vlog for this one as well for Evenings and Weekends, but I did really, really enjoy that one. Hunchback, another almost perfect book. Another almost perfect book about this woman who is suffering from a congenital muscle disorder, if I remember correctly. And it's just so interesting to have her point of view throughout this book. I did think it was really well written and well done. Gifted and Talented from Olivia Blake. In retrospect, not my favorite Olivia Blake book, unfortunately, but it was still like really quirky and funny and stuff like that. It's just not my favorite in retrospect, I would say. Great BBL by Emily Henry. I'm really conflicted with this one. The thing is that this book to me just seems to try to be The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and it was just not. I just think The Seven Husbands is so much better than this one, but that being said, I did enjoy it when I read it, so I think it was fine, I guess. The ending was kind of mm, not really all the way there for me. Winging It With You by Chip Pons. I kind of forgot about this book. A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim was fine. A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. Not my favorite T. Kingfisher book. Let's just leave it at that. Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This was almost perfect. This was really good. I enjoyed the premise a lot because our main character is suffering from like a brain injury or something like that, and she has 7 days to find who her killer is, or like the person who tried to murder her. But because she has this brain injury, she will die in 7 days basically. So she's as good as dead, which is, I think, another book by Holly Jackson in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. Hong Kong's We Do Not Part. Obsessed with this book when I read it, and another book that made me cry a lot. So that's that. The King in Yellow. The King in Yellow. Not for me. I was expecting like horror from this book, and it just didn't really deliver. Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wang. Obsessed. I keep thinking about this book, and I read it like a while ago. Hot Wax by ML Rio. Not for me. And since we are here, let me just also put Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley in here as well, because these two books are like a bit similar in my eyes, and both of them were just not really for me. Victorian Psycho. Victorian Psycho. It was good. Like it was good. We are following this woman who's the governess of these two kids, and she kind of ends up killing everyone. It was a lot of fun. Deranged, but a lot of fun. Misinterpretation by Lydia Soga was fine, I guess. Boys with Sharp Teeth. Wish I could return it, but I can't because I read it on my Kindle. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Obsessed. Obsessed with this book and how the story is structured. Really, really liked that one. To Clutch a Razor by Veronica Roth. To Clutch a Razor. Is it fine. I think it's fine because I did like the first book a tiny bit more than this one. So that's that. Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake. It was almost perfect. Thief of Night. Thief of Night by Holly Black. Now, where did I put Book of Night? This is where these two books belong side by side because as a duology, I think they work really, really well together. A Language of Dragons. I actually just saw the sequel of this book just releasing. The thing is, I don't remember anything about this book. Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I think it is not for me. I was debating on putting it in Would Return It if I could, but I think that's a little bit too harsh. So I'm just gonna leave it at not for me. Immortal by Sulin Tan. I forgot that you existed. I remember being kind of disappointed about this book, but in retrospect, I never think about it, so I guess I forgot about it. Alchemized by Senlin Yu. Would return it if I could. The more I think about this book, the more I realize how much I didn't like it, unfortunately. So that's that. Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher was almost perfect. Hemlock and Silver, also by T. Kingfisher. Is it fine or is it almost perfect? I think it's almost perfect. I remember really being impressed with the plot twist and where this kind of all went. So yeah, I really like this book from T. Kingfisher. Alexi Harrow's The Everlasting. Now, I loved this book. The thing is that I think it is almost perfect because the Six Deaths of the Saint is no notes. Like, no notes, really strong, perfect in my opinion. The Everlasting is almost there. And then the Paladin's Grace, Paladin's Strength, Paladin's Hope, and Paladin's Faith by T. Kingfisher. This is a series. Now, if I remember correctly, Paladin's Faith, which is the last one in the series, was not really my favorite. So because of that, I'm going to put it in not for me, if I can put it at the end here. And then Paladin's Hope. Oh my god, this was almost perfect. Love this one. Paladin's Strength was fine. And Paladin's Grace was also fine. This is a book from Clarice Lispector, and for the life of me, I can't remember the title of it. This is The Burned Sinner and the Harmonious Angels. I forgot about this one. I don't remember what this is about, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna put it here. Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This was fine. This was fine, but I do think I liked the main duology a lot more than this book in retrospect. The Safekeep by Yael van der Woeden, it was perfect and I was absolutely obsessed with it, so it only makes sense to be in top tier. Hungerstone by Kat Dunn was fine. Agnes Grey was also fine. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Wish I could return it. It got me so mad yet again. This book made me not want to read books from this author for a while, just because I don't think that this author is for me based on my experience with The Devils. I really didn't like this one. Dark Fairy Tales by Victor Wendt. Dark Fairy Tales was almost perfect. I really, really like this collection of like weird fairy tales gathered from all across the world. All Manner of Things Shall Be by Olivia Blake. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Heart the Lover by Lily King was immaculate and elite, and I loved every second of this book, so it only makes sense to be in Obsessed. Rejection. God, I was really angry when I read this book. Rejection, wish I could return it, but again, I read it on my Kindle, so I can't even sell it. Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. Now this, absolutely obsessed with this book. Absolutely obsessed. Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. This was really disappointing. This was really disappointing, and I don't know if it is I Forgot That You Existed or Fine, I guess. I Forgot That You Existed because I'm not thinking about this book at all. Snake Eater by T. Kingfisher was really solid, and I want to say it was almost perfect. The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong was, again, almost perfect. I did cry a lot with this book, and I don't remember why. I just remembered that I cried, and it was amazing. House of the Beast by Michelle Wong. It was fine. It was fine, I guess. The Possession of Alba Diaz. I wish I could return it, and I think I'm going to sell it eventually because it just didn't do anything for me. And then last but not least, and I can't believe this is over, but The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. This was unfortunately not for me. I remember being kind of disappointed with this book as I really wanted to like it, but it didn't really work. With that said, this is my tier ranking of all of the books that I read last year. And I just want you to keep in mind that this is how I'm feeling right now at this specific moment in time. If you would ask me, like, even in a month from now, I think I will be having different feelings and different opinions about these books, but this is just how things are at this specific moment. Definitely all of the books that are in the first two categories, Obsessed and Almost Perfect, would wholeheartedly recommend them if you tend to have the same book taste as myself. And I think that from this video you can kind of see what books I tend to enjoy over others, so you can maybe assess for yourself if we're on the same wavelength or not, let's say. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and I will see you soon with a new video here on the channel. Let me know in the comments down below what other videos you would like to see from me, because I would like to make it happen. And yeah, have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you soon in a new video. Bye guys.